In today's video, we will be breaking down my 5 essential tips for creating better lifestyle content for social media that is not only eye-catching, but also creates an engaged online community. And we'll be doing that by sharing the behind the scenes of a recent spec shoot I did for Zulu Athletic, where we created lifestyle photo content, reels, and long-form videos. So with that, we're gonna play the long-form video up on the screen, and then we're gonna jump on into it. So welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Brock Wonder. I am a social media strategist and content creator based in Toronto. And on this channel, we talk about how to live a more creative life. Before we can jump on into things, I think we need to talk just a little bit about what lifestyle content really is and why it's so important. Lifestyle content is essentially just posts, stories, or overall video content pieces that showcase how a particular creator is living their life. And in our case today with Zulu Athletic, if you're a brand showcasing lifestyle content, that content needs to resonate with how you as a brand see other people embodying your values and lifestyle, which in the case of Zulu Athletic is a healthy and active one. Now, if you watched my previous video on the content creator formula, you'll know that every content creator has 3 distinct content pillars. And content pillar number 2 is the one that's purposed for relatable content. This is the pillar that our lifestyle content needs to live within. And as we break down the importance of lifestyle content, I'll put a few of my favorite content creators who do lifestyle content very well up on the screen as we go through things. And so posting lifestyle content as part of pillar 2 is important for a few reasons. The first one is that it's the reason why you can build a connection with your audience. The second reason why lifestyle content is so important is because it actually enables the business side of being a content creator. A lot of brand partnerships will only come about as a result of sharing that more personal side to you. The important part is to curate your lifestyle content for specific values and aesthetics with the brands you'd be hoping to work with in the future, if that's something that you want to do. And so if you're looking to create content like some of the creators that you might have just seen, that will then take us to tip number 1, which is to pre-plan most, if not everything that you do for what you post on social media. Because if you want to make incredible content for social media, you must develop a shot list for everything you want to create. Because whether it's for a cafe photo set as an individual travel creator or a fitness lifestyle shoot for an athlete, you need to visualize what you want to make before you can make it to create a cohesive social media presence. Step 2 then is to break down each of the individual shots or video pieces that you want to make on the day you're actually making your content. My advice is to find inspiration on websites like Pinterest and then use those as reference for the shoot day on guiding you on what you're gonna make. Because the final part of that is putting it all into a document so that you can reference it for later. So that if you're doing a shoot that's both photo and video, like this shoot was with Zulu, you have to keep a way to manage a flow in the actual day that you're making your creative. And what I mean by that is your shot list keeps you on track, basically going from shot to shot to shot instead of just making it up on the fly and guessing what you're going to be able to do. And it's important to remember though that the goal of any shoot, whether as an individual creator or as a content creator like a photo or filmmaker, is that anything you make needs to be uniquely yours. Otherwise, why would someone follow you over somebody else that you might be copying? So your shot list is almost like a posing guide and a loose direction, more so than it is a prescriptive list of things you need to exactly do. Because you want to be able to play around with angles and lighting and focus points on the actual day based on the inspo you sourced. Because that takes us to tip 2, which is the what you're gonna need to actually make your shot list come to life, which is probably everybody's favorite topic, gear. Now, I definitely fall on the opinion that the best camera that you can get is the one that you're gonna use. So I would focus less on the body for what gear you actually need and more on the lenses to capture your images, because you'd be surprised with a lens, even on an iPhone, what you'd be able to capture these days. That said though, this shoot was brought brought to life with a Sony A1 and a 16 to 35 millimeter f2.8 lens. For the video components and for the photo components, it was the 24 to 70 f2.8 lens on the same body. And I could probably talk endlessly about this camera, but I could save that for a separate video. That's a camera review, because in truth, it's phenomenal, and the A1 really does everything that I need it to do. And if you are looking for gear recommendations for lifestyle content, I would say the Sony A7 IV is probably the move for you, or comparable bodies like the Canon R6 or Canon R5 are probably worth looking at to start getting into this in a more professional way instead of just run and gunning with an iPhone. But if you're an individual content creator that's really focusing on Reels and TikToks, the iPhone is more than enough to get views in your respective niches. The niches on social media that require camera bodies these days are more of the visually demanding ones, and photo filmmaking obviously is the niche that needs camera bodies, but there are other visually demanding ones. Fitness is getting there a little bit. Food content is definitely getting a lot more polished. So you kind of have to look at your niche and see what other content creators are doing to really come to the conclusion that you might actually need professional equipment ahead of an iPhone. That said, a lot of studio shoots are done with lighting, especially in the food niche. For today's video in particular, we actually rock the Aperture 300X and the Aperture 120D Mark II, two really great lights that gave us a 2 video light setup, and was more than enough in a darker-ish studio space than I really actually needed. And for a lot of the video shots, we actually only used one light and put the Aperture 120D Mark II away. And so because of my recommendation to really focus on lenses ahead of camera bodies, here are my 2 honest recommendations for somebody that might be looking for a way to level up the sharpness of their images and just overall quality. If you're looking to create incredible portrait images, a 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8 lens will be your go-to lens. It kind of is the best of all worlds, but it's not a specialist in anything that it does. But that's also the same reason on why it's so great. For video content, we used the 16 to 35 millimeter f2.8 because you can shoot both horizontal and vertical content on it at the same time. Because not only is this lens incredibly sharp, but if you keep it at its widest focal length of 16 millimeters, you can center frame your subject to be able to crop in vertical and dual purpose your footage for both horizontal and vertical content. And the key then is to remember that while these lenses are versatile and can produce stunning results, the best lens for any creator really depends on your needs, the style you're looking to create, and always your budget. Because that will take us to tip 3, which is how you actually end up creating extremely engaging content. Overall, the most general tip that I can provide you is that when you are shooting content for social media, you want to follow a 7-step sequence where each shot follows the order of first a wide shot that establishes the scene that I'm in. I then move to 2 to 3 medium shots that better showcase the location and what the storyline actually is, until I shoot 2 to 3 more detail shots that reveal the textures and the intricacies of the location I might be shooting at and really enhance the story of my video. I'll shoot long enough to make sure I capture enough of the footage to actually finish my video, and this sequence will help me compile my footage really to get me by in any general situation. Because the biggest factor of a successful shoot actually is tip number 4, which is your location. You can go ahead and capture content anywhere, but inevitably, if your locations aren't dialed into the brand that you want to make for yourself, based on the recommendations in my previous content creator formula video, everything is actually going to be off-brand, off-script, and not actually contribute to the community that you're wanting to build on your social media presence. And there are 3 things I like to do when picking a location for a shoot. One is to have a clear idea of the brand we're trying to emulate or build for ourselves. Do our locations need to have cement, minimalistic features? Is it a bright and airy lighting environment, or are we looking for something dark and moody? We need to be clear on that so that we know where to pick for the content that we want to make. 2 is to always scope out your location. Every time I don't scope out a location, I'm always surprised. And for today's shoot, we actually didn't scope out the location, and the photos didn't have squat racks along the brick wall. We got there and there were squat racks along the brick wall, and I had to change my shot list up in order to accommodate stuff getting in the way of one of my photo locations. So you need to see your spots ahead of time if there's a lot on the line. This way, you know that the general location works for the brand that you're building, and you can take advantage of specific spots to really make that eye-catching creative that probably is only something that you can do once you fully understand the area that you're shooting in. Because tip number 5 is about bringing out more emotion in our lifestyle content. To make successful lifestyle content, you need to intricately understand your gear, the location that you're shooting in, and how to capture it all in an engaging way, which are the previous 3 tips. So once you understand those different parts is finally the point where you can get creative with what you're actually trying to make and bring a lot more self-expression and you into the creative that you're going to put out into the world. This is the point where I would say is the tipping point for when someone goes from just posting content on social media to actually building a unique and distinct brand for themselves. It's when you truly understand who you are, what you do, and why you're doing it. The 3 most important parts of any successful social media presence. When you're making your content for social media, you need to go through the mental exercise of what you want your audience to feel when they're viewing your content and how you want them to interact with it. My advice is to find other creators that really resonate with you and learn what you like. Write down all of the things that might stand out to you and then try to bring those different visual cues into your own work so that you can help take different pieces and turn it into your own. And so I hope that these 5 tips helped you today. They really have been probably 5 of the bigger learning outcomes I've had when I'm making my own lifestyle content. And I think if you are gonna take advantage of any of these, it's really about getting comfortable with tips 1 to 4 before you really can level up with tip 5 and bring out a lot more emotion with your work. So if there is anything in today's video that you would like me to cover more deeply, comment down below and let me know what some of those things are. Otherwise, you can ask me any questions on Instagram DM at @BrockWonder. And with that, I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will see you all in the next one.